गिरिवारधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवारधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवारधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशी श्रीमद His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, PPT founder Acharya, Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotter Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय. भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय. श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय. श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30, Description of Adverse Fruitive Activities, Text 11. So 11 and 12 I'll read and 13 we'll repeat together. 11. vārtāyāṁ lupyamānāyām ārabdhāyām punaḥ lobhābhibhūto niḥsattvaḥ para-arthe kurute spṛhām. Translation. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Text 12. kuṭumba-bharaṇākalpo manda-bhāgyo vṛthodyamaḥ śriyā vihīnaḥ kṛpaṇo dhyāyañ mūḍha-dhīḥ. Thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failures, grieving very deeply. Text 13. Evam smṛhām tatkalatrādayasthathā nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram evam smṛhām tatkalatrādayasthathā nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram evam smṛhām tatkalatrādayasthathā nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram. Evam smṛhām nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram. Evam smṛhām nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram. Vaishnavis. Evam smṛhām tatkalatrādayasthathā nādriyante yathā pūrvam kīnāśā iva gojaram. Evam, thus, smṛhām, to maintain them, akalpam, unable, tat, his, kalatra, wife, adhyah, and so on. Tatha, so, na, not, adhiryante, do respect, Yatha, as. Purvam, before. Kinasha, farmers. Iva, like. Gojaram, an old ox. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before. Even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. Purport. Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family. Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed and a feast is held in which his body is eaten. The example is given that a farmer does not like an old bull who has ceased to work. Similarly, when an attached person in a family life becomes old and is unable to earn, he is no longer liked by his wife, sons, daughters, and other kinsmen, and he is consequently neglected. What to speak of not being given respect? It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should employ himself in the Lord's service so that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitamstam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So in this chapter, rather this chapter and next two, Kapil Dev is describing what happens to a man who thinks body as a all in all and tries to enjoy material life. So last couple of verses and even the 3 verses today we saw is pretty heavy like rather the reality of this, world, wherein he is mentioning how, seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. So we'll discuss three things today. First, how real it is that in material life, because the foundation is wrong, however nice building you build, it is going to collapse. Second, we will see when Krishna is brought in the picture, how the same life becomes glorious. And third, today is Abhiram Thakur's disappearance day. So towards the end, we will discuss a little bit about Srila Abhiram Thakur. Okay. So first point about the, they have, when they were building TOVP, right? If you see old videos, many days, nothing was seen on the ground actually. For many months, they were working because they were digging deep in the, I think 50 or 100 feet down, and putting all the pillars so that even if flood comes, the base has to be strong. So you know that, any building, more time is spent on the foundation. Right? Now, if foundation is strong, even if earthquake comes, or if you are near to a flood prone area, if flood comes, the building doesn't shake or building doesn't collapse. Right? Now same with the material life, when a Jivatma, if he, and to otherwise, if the foundation is not strong, building will collapse. Right? So in this material life, if someone thinks that he is the body and all that is belonging to him is his property and meant for his enjoyment, so that becomes his foundation. I am not soul, but I am this body. Mahamaka Pandavashchi. And then everything related to body belongs to me. So when this foundation is wrong, what happens is this versus what we are currently seeing. As a person, he thinks that, oh, my wife, kids. Now we'll see different classes, okay. First one is, he genuinely thinks I need to take care of body, he is very dutiful. He performs all his activities, and towards end of life, when he is not able to perform it, the family member, they are not grateful. They rebuke him, as told in this verse. Now, but in practical scenario, we see in Kali Yuga, the situation is so degraded that even if somebody is able to provide for the material need, still the kinsmen don't love the person. One of the devotee, his doctor in ICU in India, intensive care unit, and is very famous hospital. So a lot of big personalities like the film stars and big politicians, they come when they are really sick. So he was telling that once one very big businessman came, he was like multi-billionaire kind of thing. So that person was on ventilator trying to, the doctors were trying to help him, and his wife and kids, they were fighting. Who will get how much? Who will get how much estate? You just see in this whole life, as in the previous verses we saw, that the person, he must have done so much diplomacy, so much cheating, or even if honestly, must have very worked hard to earn the money, and when he is dying, they are not chanting next to him. What they are doing? Fighting. Who will get sign first? On which paper? Where are the lockers? who has the keys. It's a harsh reality. Right? So, this is for a person who is able to provide them. So just for example, if one is not able to provide them, then what happens? Forget it, you die. You know? Avanti Brahman, right? He was very rich, but he was like, somehow the wealth was stolen by his, plunderers, and then nobody was, he was just thrown out. Right? So we see this, like if we just keep our eyes open, if we read, we don't have to go through, but even if we read the headlines, we can see, and Prabhupada is mentioning that in some people, they give old people like, when he'll die, kind of, they count the days. So you just imagine the whole building you have built, the whole life you have spent, hard-earned money on these people, and now what they are looking for? Your signature. Your signature. So this is problem with materialistic outlook. Now what about devotee? In Sundarkand, when Hanumanji flews, he teaches two very important principles. Bhavata parijjata and I think Bhavata parityajya and Swanishtha parityajya, I think, So basically what it means is that when Hanumanji was going, first the Mainak Parvat comes, right? He says, okay, come on, enjoy, relax. What Hanumanji does? He just touches it, respects it, goes ahead. He doesn't indulge. Then Surasa comes, she's expanding her mouth. Hanumanji is also expanding 10 yojanas. Surasa also 10 yojanas. He expands to 20 yojanas. She expands to 20. He expands to 40. Surasa also expands to 40. Then what happens? Hanumanji becomes very small, goes into her mouth, comes back. So he indulges, but he doesn't stay there trying to prove his superiority. Right? He just does the needful and go away. So this is called as bhavata parityajya. Bhavata parityajya means being indulging in something without getting attached to it. So this is what exactly a devotee does. That as a grahastha, he may be a family man, he will do all his duties, he'll perform whatever, do the needful, but he is not attached. So the devotees, they are affectionate towards their family member, but they are not attached. Like Prabhupada, classic example. He took care of all the kids, there were business failures, he again built it, did whatever is, do the needful. He did all that. At a point came wherein, when he saw his family was not supporting him in spiritual life, we read in Lilamrut, right? Tea or me. Tea, fine. He left. See, the beauty of Prabhupada is later, Prabhupada had even invested some money for his kids and others, well-being. So he did take care. So he was affectionate to them, but he was not attached. So this is like Hanumanji, Bhavata parityajya means you are indulged but not attached. So this is the key. And then the second thing, when Hanumanji goes further, the Simhika comes, right? So Simhika, Hanumanji doesn't indulge. He directly kills her and goes further, right? So this is called as second, that, this complete parityaja. I think it is Swarupatah parityaja, correct technical word. So that means no indulgence at all. So devotee will be affectionate and, he'll seem like an attached fellow till he's 50. Rather, we are supposed to follow till 50. And then complete detachment. Even if we see this particular pastime, Kardam Muni and Devahuti, Kardam Muni's son was Supreme Personality of Godhead. He left him and went to forest. Prabhupada in this purport is also mentioning, right? Panchasha Varnam Vanam Vrajit. When we should not wait for people to think when he is leaving. Rather, we should live at a point where people are asking why you are going. Meaning, when our senses and body is fit and fine, Prabhupada is mentioning, give this family life and go to forest. Meaning, technically we cannot just do that. Meaning, increase your Krishna consciousness. So in current setup of ISKCON, we have a facility where even if we are saying, so of course those devotees who are staying within community, like we have so many devotees here, so as Prabhu, Naikatma Prabhu, and so many others, they are married, but practically they are like sannyasis, 24/7 serving Krishna, right? So many other devotees also across we see. So it's not ashram what matters, it is our consciousness and how we are acting our life. Amrish Maharaj, though he was a grahastha, he was like example of all 9 processes perfected. Can you imagine? So, we have to mold our life as a practicing sadhaka that towards end we are able to spend more quality time chanting, reading, hearing, doing some practical service. Like many devotees, I know many families like wherein if the Mataji is left, then the Prabhuji he is staying in Brahmachari ashram in his old age, he is just doing temple services, all the time he is there. Kids are settled, he is not worried about it. So that is actually meaning of leaving, like Prabhupada is saying, before dying, leaving our place. So it is said that before entering we should have an exit plan. Those who are young, basically, those who are not married and planning to get married, before entering you should have exit plan. That yes, I am entering this grahastha ashram, but this is a temporary phase. I need to do the needful, and then I should have planned to slowly detangle myself. So it's like easy spoken than done, right? But so I seek all of your blessing. I should also follow this, towards the end. But this is what we should at least aim to, because when we start thinking about it, then we, there are some chances that we may do it. Otherwise, the current society, the retirement age is keep on increasing, right? Social security benefit, 55, 60, 62, 69. You can work till 69 nowadays. Prabhupada said 50 you are supposed to go to forest. So individual situation and responsibilities, that may be different, but the principle should be that towards the fag end of life, I don't want to focus only on material life, but rather increase my Krishna consciousness. So we have to go from that bhavatah paritejya to sarvatah paritejya, that from little bit indulgence to complete avoidance towards the end. So this is like some and then if we don't do, what happens? They are waiting for your death. So devotee also becomes old, but this is the difference between karmi and devotee. Because the devotee's foundation is strong, even during his old age. Like we have even so many old devotees also, right? Here, Radhakrishna Prabhu, does everyday service, right? So he has a family, but we see him all the time on the altar, right? So many devotees like this all over place. So that is the Ramakrishna Prabhu, sorry. Yeah, that is the benefit of having strong foundation in Krishna consciousness. And when we spend life in Krishna consciousness, the old devotees are like a jewel, gem of realization. So devotees want their blessings, they want their guidance. So they are not neglected, rather they are most sought after. Like we have Srila Prabhupada disciples, they travel all over the place, right? Everybody wants to hear from them because they have led that life. So to summarize, we saw that Kapil Muni is describing very graphically the perils of a material man who is attached to family life. And then we see we saw that how in the last stage people fight over property, not caring for the dying man who is, created that property. And the more to come actually. But for a devotee, because the foundation is Krishna consciousness, he understands that he has to do the needful, but not get entangled. And we saw this example of Hanumanji. He respected Mainaka and Surasa, but he did not kept indulging in them. He just did the needful and proceeded. And when the time came for Sinhika, he just finished her off actually. So same way, as a family man, we are supposed to indulge, meaning being affectionate, but we should not become attached. And at one point, we should go for complete, at least we should try from our side to increase the time that we are doing on Krishna consciousness. So today also is, Srila Abhiram Thakur's appearance day. So in Bhakti Ratnakar, the nice story comes. That's when Krishna was playing with Krishna Balram. They are all playing with all their friends, right? They were playing hide and seek. And suddenly Krishna says that, okay, let's go to Navadvip, Nadia. We'll play there now. Next drama. So everybody goes, and this Sridama was in the cave. So he was still there. So when they go there, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, hey, Sridama is missing. Then Balramji, because Sridama is very close to Balramji says, okay, now Nityanand Prabhu. He says, okay, I'll go and figure out where she is. So he was still hiding in that cave wherever they were playing. So Balramji, Nityanand Prabhu goes and he said, Sridama, come, let's go to Navadvip to play. And Sridama says, who are you? He said, I am same Balram. He said, Balramji was more than 7 feet tall. You are just, you are so small. He was very heighted. So Nityanand Prabhu says, okay, if you don't believe me, let's play. You run, I'll catch you within 10 steps. If not, then I'm not Balram. So Sridama says, fine. And then he starts running, and Balram, Nityanand Prabhu immediately caught him. And he says, okay, I agree that, okay, you may be, same Balaram, but because you left me, I'm very hurt. I'm not going to come. Nityanand Prabhu says, no, please, that's okay, let's go, everybody is waiting. So Sridama said, okay, I'll send my expansion. So he expands himself into Ramadas, or it's called, Abhiram Das also. And this Abhiram Prabhu, he goes with Nityanand Prabhu. Now coming back to the Gaur Lila, right? So when this Abhiram Thakur comes here, he had this nature. Of course, he was being Nitya Siddha, used to get angry because he was, cheated, right? Friends generally, right? Hey, you did that to me, right? They do that. So he used to carry a stick with him always. His name was, Jai Mangala. And he used to beat people. But the amazing fact was, whenever he used to beat somebody with that stick, that fellow used to become a pure devotee. He used to get Krishna Prem. That was his potency actually. And he had another potency that if he offered someone obeisances, if that person is not devotee, he used to die. Right there and there. Now just imagine if Abhiram Thakur walks here and offers his obeisances, I know for sure I will die, So he once, and then if there is a Shaligram Shila, which is not original Shaligram Shila, and if he offers obeisances, that Shila used to crack. It's pretty powerful personality. So in Nityanand Prabhu, when he had a first son, this personality comes and offers his obeisances. And what happens, this fellow dies, that baby dies. Second son, same thing. So it happens with 7 babies. That all the first 7 kids, they are dead. And when the 8th time, a girl, she's born, Ganga Devi, to Nityanand Prabhu and Vasudha. So this Abhiram Thakur again comes, offers obeisances. That baby keeps crying. That means she was alive. So he becomes very happy and he says, we are not deceived this time. Because he wanted nobody but a pure devotee, And then in glorification of this Ganga Devi,
He writes 100 verses actually. Then Nityananda Prabhu has another son, Veerabhadra. Again Abhiram Thakur comes, offers obeisances. He remains alive. Again he, writes another, Ashtak, 8 verses glorifying, this Veerachandra. So that was his actually, potency. And then we have heard about this Raghunandan, right? That this Raghunandan, who was the son of, in the Shrikhanda, he was son of, forgetting name. His father was a doctor. Once he goes to king, and then his mother asked him to, this Raghunandan asked him to offer bhoga to Gopinathji, his deities. So when he offers it, he says, please eat, Gopinath says, I already eaten. He said, no, you have to eat. Eating means actual eating. Because of his so much, innocence and devotion, Gopinathji actually eats. And then he goes to the mother, and then he said, where is Prasad? He said, Gopinathji ate, you asked me to feed him. So then father comes and asks again same thing. So he said, Gopinath ate. So he said, okay, take this laddu and, feed again. So he goes to Gopinathji again, this Raghunandan. He says, please eat. He said, I just now ate in front of you. He said, no, please eat. My parents have asked, to feed. So this Gopinathji takes the laddu and he eats half. And his father was looking from the curtain, what's happening. And then as soon as he sees his father, he stops, so half laddu was, given. So this father understands. I'm forgetting his father's name actually. So anyway, so this story, like this Raghunandan has offered to Gopinathji, goes, spreads like wildfire, goes to Abhiram Thakur. So he comes, he said, I want to see this boy. And first thing he wanted to do was do his litmus test, offer obeisances. And everybody was very afraid. And then, but he offers obeisances, nothing happens. And then both of them, they, dance very nicely. So this Abhiram Thakur was a very great preacher. And, he used to, one time he went into the mood of, he went to ecstasy and he wanted to depict like, Krishna playing a flute. But there was no flute. There was like, some 16 feet long tree, the trunk of a tree, which even like, 20 people, it was difficult from them to lift. So he just lifts it in one hand and stands in that position for hours together, So, and of course you have to understand that he was not a mass murderer, rather like, he was delivering the souls. So nothing but pure devotion rather. When Srinivas Acharya, he comes to visit, he takes the whip and hits him. And then he goes into ecstasy. He hits him again, He was like, his ecstasy was increasing. So his wife, Malini Devi, she says, hey, stop, he'll die out of ecstasy, stop beating him. So that was the purity that, just imagine you take a whip and Krishna Prem, Right? How many would want to take the whip from his, say, Prabhuji is the ready first one, right? So how many want to take obeisances? So, but yeah, so this is really a very special personality, and this Abhiram Thakur, the same as Sridhama Sakha, he preached far and wide, and he had a deity. It is said that once Krishna came in his dream and he said, okay, I am at this particular place, you execute me. So he dug that place, and a nice deity of Gopinath, his deity's name was also, Radha Gopinath. So he established that deity and worshipped it with a lot of love and devotion. So all these deities, they are still there in Bengal actually. If we go some places in Krishnanagar, nearby places, this place is there. So let's pray to Abhiram Thakur that may we become sincere devotees, not at least I can say for myself, not as a hypocrite one. It's a genuine devotee, and may we really sincerely aspire for that, genuine Krishna Prem. That's very far, but at least what we can aspire is that we genuinely become humble and develop taste to chant the holy names. The rest of the things will follow actually. So, Srila Abhiram Thakur ki jai. So, this would like to stop. Any questions on what we discussed? Comments? You have a question? You can take it.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the class. Regarding leaving home, entering vānaprastha ashram, in ISKCON we have clearly defined like sannyasa ashram, but vānaprastha ashram isn't as defined, and maybe that's the reason why a lot of people aren't practicing it. But is it like required to enter into vānaprastha ashram? Is it just recommended? Because we don't really see anyone doing it.
Yeah. See, it's we have to see what is the principle. Principle behind vānaprastha ashram is you reduce your family responsibilities almost close to zero, and you engage your time completely in devotional service. So we may not see some grahasthas, going to forest. Like for example, here we have, live examples, Sahas Prabhu, Naikatma Prabhu, right? They are grahasthas. They are more than 50. They are still, doing active service. But they are as good as vānaprastha because there is, the principle is, okay, even if I go to forest after 50, what I am supposed to do? Same thing, chanting, doing more service, depending more on Krishna. So if that I can do in a setup wherein I can serve my, mission of my spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, it's as good as, vānaprastha. Second thing is that not everyone comes to Krishna consciousness from their young age. So they don't have brahmachari training, they don't have grahastha training. Sometime later in the life, by some devotee's mercy, they come in Krishna consciousness, they get initiated. But because they don't have this background, for them to immediately jump to vānaprastha, it may not be possible. So therefore, like in Pune, Radheshyam Prabhu, he had started a senior devotee sangha, like vānaprastha sangha, that is particular name he has given, wherein he invites all the devotees who are 60 plus, and then he trains them how they can engage more into performing devotional service. So that is like as good as becoming vānaprastha, because with the current given Kali Yuga body, if I go in forest, I will die within 2 days, and instead of remembering Krishna, I will curse the devotee who has asked me to go to forest. And that's the harsh reality. So we have to remember the purpose. What is the purpose? So the purpose is reducing, like Vaisheshika Maharaj, right? It's grahastha, but he's fully engaged. So he may not take a sannyas, or like Rose here may not take sannyas, but it's as good as sannyasi, because what sannyasi is do, kayana vacha manasa indriya buddhatmana prakriti svabhava karomi yad sakalam parasmai narayana iti samarpayami. This is verse they chant at the time of taking sannyas. So basically whatever activities I am doing is for pleasure of Krishna. That is the definition of sannyasi, right? So if somebody is doing that, being in a vānaprastha ashram, being in, for that matter, grahastha ashram also. Prabhupada had so many disciples at that time, like His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He was a grahastha. When he used to earn the salary, he used to put that check and give it to Srila Prabhupada. Jayanand Prabhu, right? He did the same thing, just offered everything. So can we say, no, they were not technically vānaprastha? No, it doesn't matter. So the purpose, so there is like, word of law and the principle of law, right? So the word of law is yes, panchacha varsham vanam vrajet, that after 50 we should go to the forest. But the principle, the purpose is what you do going there, not again open a Facebook, but perform more devotional service. So in ISKCON slowly it's happening, like there are many efforts to establish Daivi Varnashram system also, but because of all these practical reasons, because many devotees they don't have that pre-training, it becomes little challenging to follow exactly the way, but the purpose is getting fulfilled, So and depending on one's sincerity, we can see it either somebody is doing say 50%, somebody 80%, somebody 100%. Okay?
So obviously the goal isn't to go to the forest.
Goal is not goal is to become Krishna consciousness. Naham vipro na cha manarpati, na pivaishyo na shudro, naham varni na cha grahapati, na kayastho vraniva, kintu prodyan nikhila paramanandam, gopir bhartur padakamaluyo dasa anudas. Our goal is not to become sannyasi, grahastha, vānaprastha. Humble servant of Srila Prabhupada.
But the family detachment is necessary, like detachment from family.
It will come. See, we have to be affectionate, not attached. So it's like, when you attach to, see, as a spirit soul, naturally we want to do something. We want to be attached to someone. When you are attached to Krishna, naturally everything, whatever is following, it will go away. See, we don't have to extraneously try to be detached from family, but rather we should focus more on attaching ourselves to Krishna. So then naturally see, all of us, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we may have had a bad habit, right? But when we started chanting, following four regulative principles, we don't even think about those now, because we have higher taste. So we don't have to exclusively work on detachment, rather we have to exclusively work on attachment, then the rest of things will follow. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, Nekatma Prabhu had a comment and then you. Okay. Yeah. No, you are done? You are ready to go to forest? So Prabhu, you will have a difficult task to find somebody else to cover Nekatma Prabhu.
Could survive in the forest. Out of anyone here.
Yeah, I doubt Prabhu will give you permission. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
So, Prabhu, we were talking about the man who is very attached, and when he gets attached to family life, when he gets old, he gets neglected. And therefore, the purpose is, therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all of his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full powers of speaking. So, just, how do you say, for discussion, and maybe you have some thoughts about it, I happened to be talking to a senior Prabhupada disciple who had a lot of association with Prabhupada, and I was asking him about those devotees, or his peers, and what about this devotee? He says, oh, this devotee has some health issues. What about this other devotee? I don't want to mention the names. Oh, this devotee, he can't even get out of bed now. Okay, what about this other devotee? And then he said, oh no, also. So then he said, in a small circle, we are talking about getting these particular devotees, or some of them, get a taker, I say caretakers. So now my question to you will be, what will be the practical thing to do besides that? Because that's small, just to help, just to honor the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of what Prabhupada mentioned here, that Krishna will take care, right? So, but it appears that we've seen, if you're a guru and you have many disciples, there's no problem. If you have an inheritance, there's no problem. You can solve the problems. So it comes to money issue. So any thoughts that you can, like that we can improve this situation that you.
Yeah, amazing point actually. I was about to speak one point on that. Thank you for reminding. So there are two cases. One is from our side, yes, we should try our best from individual capacity to help those who have served for life. There's no question about that. Now, can this be done something at an institutional level, wherein there are devotees who have served whole life in ISKCON, they don't have any inheritance, they don't have any relationship with their kinsmen, neither they have money. So how to go about it? So actually, of course, that is something like beyond my level of this thing. But of course, if at a GBC level, if they can, there might be some also. I may not know, but say in each temple, if there are X number of devotees who have dedicatedly served their life, then that temple can, as per their wish, towards the end of their life, either pay for their expenses either in Vrindavan or Mayapur, so that while doing service they don't have to worry, and then after they are done and when they are not able to move, they go there and spend their life, their peacefully living, like there are already hospices written. So that is one idea. Of course, now when the Lakshmi is involved, there are many practical considerations, so that we have to see, again, case by case basis also. It's not that we don't want that, people just coming when they are nobody's at home and they are just, left alone, and then coming to temple and, we becoming as a old age home. No, but what the case wherein some devotees have served throughout their life very sincerely, then yes, we should try our best to take care of them. There's no doubt about it. Radha Krishna will make advancement by serving those devotees. Okay, so this is first point. Second point is about where it is not applicable. So there can be two cases we can see. That particular devotee can think that Krishna is giving me ultimate test or benefit, wherein he says that yasyaham anugrihnami harishyet tadhanam shani. When I really bestow my mercy on someone, I take away everything. So I don't have to, nobody is there for me. Now let me just, in real way surrender to Krishna, because I don't have any securities. So as a devotee, he can take that way, because anyway he cannot do anything. So that is from the one who is going through that. And the others, they can say, okay, I may not be able to take care of him 24 hours. Can I at least do 1 hour in a week or 1 hour in a month? So that is from the community side, that how I can serve this devotee who has dedicated his life. So that way to express our gratitude. And then this universe is just, it's when we do something, Krishna will surely recognize act of our that sincerity, and then some solution will come. And then we see that Krishna is a miracle personality. Okay, and then when Krishna was in Vrindavan, it's not that everything was certain. Rather, everything became most uncertain. Suddenly demons were coming, this and that were happening. So same way, with this attitude, when we approach, so summarize, trying to do something institutional wise. Second, trying to do on personal level. And third, if we are going through that, taking it as Krishna's mercy, then we will see that Krishna will do miracle. I think would like. Okay, thank you so much. Would like to stop. Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Abhiram Das Thakur ki jai. Nitai Gopta.
My wife had a book about your question. It's a whole
About vānaprastha.
yeah, totally about that.
So, any decision or opinion on the Atlanta trip?
No, I haven't thought about it. I think we have to get the conversation about not problems or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so, let me talk to Prabhupada. Okay?
He's also going to go.
Yeah, he's also going to go. So, I'll talk to him today and I'll let you know.
Okay. And so, I could probably arrange my own fare. I could speak with family. And also, this talk to Nicholas, I think you've met him now a couple of times.
Yeah.
He comes on the weekend, does some service,
Yeah.
and he comes pretty much most days after work. I had a very solid interview with him. He was really favorable. Take it up to try stay in the ashram for some time.
Okay.
So we're gonna let him stay on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then after that, and see how he does.
See how it goes. Okay. I love it. That's great.
It was really good interview. Everything I was looking for.
Keep it up. Thank you. Very good. Great.
Otherwise, yeah, just let me know what the party says.